Hi, I'm Benjamin Booker with Lunar Habitation Technologies. We like to call it LUNARHAB, and we're based out of Denver, Colorado. We started working on a project while attending Cornell University to basically make permanent colonization of the Moon and Mars something that's feasible to a scale not possible with prefabricated habitats. So the tradition right now is build a habitat on the Earth, launch it up to the Moon or Mars or that type of thing. What we did was invent a technology that can take the natural resources on the Moon or on Mars and convert it to a substrate that you can 3D print structures, habitats, landing pads, launch pads, and roads, anything like that. And all you have to do is launch the system. There's no binding agent, so it's the only company in the world that's done anything like this. Being from the States, there's a lot of interesting stuff going on in Europe. And I think it's pretty exciting that Europe's putting a lot of attention on the space economy and developing technology. And so we just wanted to be part of it, a growing organization like Paris Space Week. And we're really happy to be here and excited for the other attendees and meeting other people who have a passion for space and kind of, permanently expanding humanity's presence in the universe here. There's a monetary benefit, right? Which I think is important these days, that there has to be some kind of return on investment. The Moon in particular, one of the best sources of helium-3, which is an ideal component to do fusion. So we have a world, once again, 8 billion people and growing, tremendous energy needs, and fusion could be a really strong possibility to meet that. So the ability to manufacture or extract resources from the Moon, such as helium-3, and bring them back to the Earth for fusion has a tremendous financial benefit, right? But I also think that there's a human component here to doing something that, like I said, really makes an impact on the long-term future, trying to move these polluting industries off planet. And also, if you think about, time scales here, 10,000 years from now, if humanity didn't exist, the only thing that would be left would be kind of a grassy hill where the pyramids used to be. But the Moon is a perfectly preserved system, and we could preserve data and DNA and seeds and everything up in space as kind of a insurance policy to ensure that that knowledge is always preserved. And so I think that human side of it is just that ability to ensure that life is protected for 10,000 generations to come. And we like to think of it at LUNARHAB that for 150,000 years humans have looked up to the Moon for inspiration, and early humans used it for agriculture and when to plant and that type of thing. And we want to ensure that it has access for 10,000 generations to come. I would say, it's such a big undertaking if we think about a permanent colony on the Moon. It's comparable to 500 years ago coming to the New World, to the North America in search of resources and that kind of thing. And even bigger than that, right? Just the most incredible dream possible is to have a permanent colony on the Moon. So I think it takes a bit of faith in humanity and the ability to achieve these really great dreams. Money can be a motivation, but I think beyond that it has to have someone who's definitely a dreamer, and that these types of things can have very high return on their investment. But it takes time to do really great things. And so I think changing our mindset from a quarterly earnings report for a public company to making tremendous change over decades and generations is, I think, going to be a very important thing. Short-term thinking has got us in trouble in a lot of ways throughout history. And it's going to take some long-term thinking and big solutions to fix some of these problems. And so I think that's probably the biggest thing. Dreamers supporting dreamers. Well, I think sometimes it's hard to, as for people to think about what's important, right? And I think it's important to dream as not just an individual, but have these big dreams and try to achieve them, but also as a society and a civilization. And so we think about what are the next steps for humanity with, very near 8 billion people in the world, and using the resources we have here. If we want to protect the Earth like we should, a lot of these industries can move off planet for resources, mineral extraction, all that kind of thing. We don't have to pollute the Earth anymore. And the way to do it is to create infrastructure on the Moon and on Mars. And I think that our generation, that's something that's important to us. And for the long term, we're at a pretty exciting place in human history that we can have a really big impact on the long-term future, not just our kids and grandkids, but what we do now is going to set a foundation for 1,000 years down the line. And it just depends on what kind of world and future you want to see for your great-great-great-great-grandkids. And so important stuff to be part of space and human expansion. Initially, these types of projects take some government support, from around the world, the United States government, NASA, Europe, European Space Agency, Japan, because they're very big projects. But what's going to happen is this technology continues to develop and bring the cost down, that there's a whole new industry being built here for low gravity research and manufacturing. So I think what people need to know, other industries is research, universities, pharmacological development, energy development, and there's just a tremendous potential to develop things in microgravity and on the moon and those resources that you just can't get here. So what we're trying to do is open up space for especially research institutions and universities who really want to do cutting edge research that's going to take access that could never be afforded before. And so part of what we're trying to do is actually we're bringing down the cost about 98% to be able to do pressurized human habitats in space. Definitely will open up a lot of opportunities for companies and also universities and that kind of thing to do research that they never could have before.